Soul Tribe, we have a busy week this week. We got some Mercury energy that's coming through there, bringing some clarity as they form a conjunction with the sun. And then later, I feel there's going to be some changes, some releasing some old things and starting some new stuff there when we get this, when Venus and Mercury move over to Cancer and form a conjunction. A lot of fusion energies this weekend. A lot of very beautiful story that I feel like we're getting ready to tell here. So stick around to find out how to work with these energies. But before we jump into that, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes and shares. Your support really is just amazing, just so uplifting, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I'm happy that your higher self, your source self, your guides have brought you here, and we're in for an amazing journey. And what I do on this channel is that I talk about the celestial forecast that's going on in the sky, talk about what the planets are chit-chatting about, and how we can work with this energies in your chart. So pay attention if you happen to know where these planets are at. Be thinking about how this may be incorporating, what questions may be coming up for you. And remember to take what is fitting into your experience and then discard the rest. So I will be covering let's get into this thing. I will be that intro could or that moving on. I'm out to serve a word salad, tripping over my words here. I'm going to be covering the week of the 13th through the 19th. I swear this isn't my first time. But before I get into that, there was one that I missed from last week, so I'm going to technically be talking about one that's happening later tonight, so that kind of works, and it actually ties in with the story very well, so I feel like it was meant to be this way, so we're going to roll with it. But, so starting today, on Mercury Day, the 12th, at about 11:24 p.m., and that's going to be Pacific time, the sun is going to be forming a sextile with Chiron, and this is going to be at 22 degrees 44 minutes. The sun is in Gemini and Chiron is in Aries. Now, what sextiles are when the planets are 60 degrees apart, so they're in complementary energies, whether it be fire and air or earth and water. And it's a softer energy. It's one that can bring up opportunity. The energies are easy flowing. You can just feel like things are just kind of falling into place. Doors are, I feel like it's like a serendipitous type of energy. And just overall just can be just really uplifting. But what I feel I feel like is kind of important because this is the conversation that Chiron and the sun have had since that really big conjunction, that big eclipse, I don't know if you remember that eclipse, that happened in Aries, where Chiron was exactly on the same degree. And now I feel that this is really kind of reflecting on what's gone on since that period of time and how you have grown since then. We're thinking Gemini, what have you learned? And how have you grown, and where do you want to maybe take some bolder moves now when we're thinking now that you've maybe faced some things, or that maybe some vulnerabilities or some things that we may have thought were limitations, was trying to push that boundary now. I feel like it's like, what are you ready to do? This is an opportunity, I feel, to kind of move life in the direction that you're wanting to go there. This could be where you're taking just this inspired energy and maybe putting this into a game plan. Maybe you want to, I used to have a fear of talking in front of people, but now maybe I'm going to take a speech class, or maybe now I'm going to start a podcast, or maybe now I'm going to start a YouTube, or do something on Discord, or whatever platforms are out there, or just as an example. But it's like, how do you turn what you thought maybe was a weakness into a strength, and not being afraid to learn from something, to be vulnerable, to let that thing have power over what you are doing anymore. And if you're not sure maybe what you've learned from this time, I feel like the energies now we're going to move into the next day here, because I feel like if this has just been feeling like a whirlwind and you haven't been able to tell up from down, I feel that maybe this can be a helpful energy to kind of help ground you in over these next few days, because the next energy I want to get into is Jupiter Jupiter Day. That's Thursday, the 13th of June, at about 7:02 p.m. Mercury will be forming a sextile with Chiron, and now we've just moved 2 minutes. They're at 22 degrees 46 minutes. Mercury in Gemini, Chiron still chilling in Aries. And what I like about this is that the understanding that I feel that Mercury's bringing in, because Mercury deals with our how we think, how we process information, how the mind works. And being in Gemini, I feel that this can be a time where if you have been really kind of struggling with something, maybe there's this wound to this sense of self, this Mercury in Gemini can give you a chance to really kind of look at it and really kind of absorb things faster, because Mercury is very swift and very agile in this is a sign that they're dignified in, where they call home, aside from Virgo as well. But with this Gemini, this can be a time for you to I almost feel like this can be one where you're asking why this is going on if you're not sure, but there's an opportunity to really kind of feel what that answer is. Or there could be something, I remember hearing I had to make a decision here recently. This is just an example how this could come up. How I feel like this could come up. I had a decision where I needed to make a decision about something, and it was coming up on the day to do it, and I was having first thoughts about it. And I woke up with this song. It was very, very kind of what I thought random at that moment, but it was very clear that the Roar, that's the name of the song, that Katy Perry song. And I don't listen to Katy Perry like that. And I just happened to be getting ready to get my day started, and I had a reader on. I was just happened to be listening to something, and she mentioned that song, and I hadn't like, it was just of all the songs, she does that where she'll, like, Baba Jolie, she's fantastic. She'll be like, I'm channeling a song right now, and it just so happened to be that I hadn't listened to her in a while, and I just, one of those things just so happened to, and I got this, it was like a message, like an affirmation of encouragement. And then to triple down on it, I was taking a lift to this place, and it came on in the car, and I'm just like, what is happening? So that's where I feel like you've understand, like, to me, how I took that as, it was just like, it's time to really get into this sense of leadership, to start taking ownership of your life, to be in. I got 5 stacks of Leo, and it's like time to let that kind of shine more, to really kind of be in that, to be braver, to show more courage, that to know that you got what you're trying to go towards, to follow your heart. And that's what I feel that's been kind of, when I look at my vision board that I started for the lunar, or for that eclipse in Aries. These are some bigger things. I never really did a vision board before, really. I've set intentions, but this was one that I never took the time to do it like this, but I had joined this community here recently. There's been a lot of things that have been kind of lining up. And so I just feel this Mercury sextile Chiron a lot of things could just start, like, could start making sense, like why you've even been going through stuff since the eclipse, maybe even why you've gone through stuff. I'm thinking like old wounds as well. This could be like I'm thinking Aries, this could be like the first wounds that you've had, the wounds that initiated it all, how you are who you are, all the positive and the things that you want to improve. And this could see why, like, it's just like, oh, I had this relationship with such and such because it was meant to teach me stronger boundaries. And maybe I could teach this to teach other people to do the same thing, and this is what I've done for me. Because, Mercury too is like, how are we bringing, like, I feel too, this can be an opportunity to bring more healing practices for you into your day-to-day environment when we're thinking about Mercury. So if you have been struggling with something, maybe this could be an invitation. We're in Gemini. Talk about this with someone. This could be with a professional. Maybe we're calling like a hotline even. I feel there are a lot of resources that are out there when we want to avail ourselves to them. And even though you may want it one sort of way, that there can be another way of accomplishing something as well. I feel this is a great opportunity to, again, to see wounds and things from a higher perspective, things that you may have, things that you would say that have been done to you. Now maybe looking at, and how has this been done for me? And I feel like that's a beautiful way to bring into the next energy, because we're getting into Venus Day, Friday, the 14th of June. And at 9:32, the sun is conjunct Mercury at 24 degrees and 6 minutes. And I feel like conjunctions are when the planets are within 0 to 3 degrees. That's the orb that I like, that I personally like. Well, when it comes with the sun, I like to use about four four and a half degrees or so, 4 degrees in like 30 minutes. That's what I like to use as a separate for the sun and the moon, just because those are more personal. And then for the other ones, I like to keep them within like a 3 degree orb. If we're talking like Mercury transiting like my natal, I like Uranus is coming up on a square with my Mars placement right now. I'm so excited, and actually I am really excited. But I would consider that something. I'd start looking at that at like 3 degrees, and I had been kind of feeling that for a minute. I'd been feeling this frustration here as of late. So, and now we're getting in a flow. I'm hearing Uranus. So, and that's something too that I feel like, okay, let me get my thoughts together, because I got a lot to talk about this. Because with this conjunction, the conjunctions are when the planets are fusing together. So when we're talking about the sun, this is our sense of who am I, and again, Mercury is that understanding of that, and how am I communicating who I am into being? How is my immediate environment reflecting how I've grown? And I feel that, because when you think about Chiron too, the Sun and Mercury just got done talking with Chiron. They're just like, there's a sense of understanding, and Chiron is seen as the bridge between the traditional planets and the outer planets, because its orbit is between Big Papa and Saturn, Jupiter, and. Or not Saturn, excuse me. Saturn and Uranus. Let me move it back. I just felt like talking about Jupiter. But it was between Saturn and Uranus. And because up to Saturn, they were the traditional planets: the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Those were the planets that you could see with the naked eye. And the outer ones we need a little bit more help. But I feel that all this Chiron work that has been going through, and the fact that Chiron is being talked about more, there's this bridge between what we can see and what we can feel. And that's where I feel like this is a collective expansion that is happening right now. But it is happening individually. It's like these, like lights are coming on, and it's this vibration this resonance that's being established here. And I just feel like that there's something that's just a lot of clarity, I feel, when the Sun or Mercury are coming together, that this has been because I feel like Mercury has been through a pretty epic travel, retrograding back through the whole, back through Aries, was zipping through, and then came back and just had a lot to process. After they came through, because Mercury had went through eclipse, Uranus and Big Papa had just came through a conjunction. We just had Neptune and Jupiter do a conjunction. It was just so much big stuff that was going on. It's just like, how do I fit all of this in my body, and what do I do with all of this as well? And I feel like what I like to do with the conjunctions, since they are only 1 degree, one sign that's involved in this, and 1 degree point that's involved, the 24 minutes, I like to bring in the Sabian symbols. And if that's something that I feel resonates, if you feel like resonates with you, I like it because I feel it brings a little extra nuance into the interpretation. And I have Mercury and Leo in the 12th house, so anything that just gets my imagination a chance to be more creative, I'm all about that. But I like to think of it as, if I had to put it in a simple way, it's like think of it as a degree theory, in a sense, that each degree is telling a story of growth throughout the zodiacal wheel. And And so just take, if this is something that, resonates with you, that imagery and stuff, apply this and, see how this adds on. And see where this is happening in, the Gemini parts of your chart and see where this may be happening. But this is going to be phase 85 of Gemini. And this is a gardener trimming large palm trees. And I really like the imagery for this. I'm picturing, let me take you there. I see just this really big palm tree, something out of this. I remember playing this game, Mario. And I used to live in Florida. So let me stop. Let me bring it in real life. But yeah, I'm just picturing a really large palm tree with these big leaves on there. The sun's beaming down. You're by the ocean. And the keynote for this is bringing under control nature's power of expansion. And so, like I was saying, there's a lot that has been going on. And like a garden, you got to go through and tend to these plants because, I feel like when you try to grow things on top of each other, it's just, they all end up suffocating. And so this, I feel, can be a time where we're seeing things clearly, where we really kind of go within and understanding where we have grown, where something may have, I'm thinking about Gemini, where something may have gotten a little boring. Maybe you've had this old way of doing something, a habit that you've always went to, and now it's just like not doing it for you anymore. It's like, I think I'm over that. I think I want to learn something new. I think I'm going to trim that away. It may have served a purpose at one point in time, but I feel that it's like we're needing to trim some stuff in order to allow this new growth to come out, to take what you've learned, and it's time for it to go from being internal and being seen. Because I feel that a lot of people are coming into their gifts, and this is an exciting time that we're in right now. I've been really kind of Saturn and Neptune, that conjunction, I feel, when they enter Aries is going to be something special, something really cool, I feel, can happen with this when we're taking control of our growth and taking responsibility for our growth. Because something to think about too, and we're going to talk about Neptune. Actually, let's talk about that next. But that's, I feel like this conjunction with Mercury, this Sun conjunct Mercury, can really be seeing how you've grown and where you may need to, and maybe where you're ready to grow, but there may be something that's needing to be looked at, that it's just needing to get off, so that there's something can blossom, something can bloom from that, something really, really, really nice. So, but let's talk about the next energy here, because maybe this could maybe be a little challenge here, because you got on Sunday, the 16th of June, at about 8:46 p.m., Venus, the Empress, is going to be forming a square with Neptune. And this is going to be happening at 29 degrees, 52 minutes, Venus being in Gemini and Neptune being in Pisces. Now, when we have a square, that's when the planets are 90 degrees apart, and there's this energy of tension. There could be challenges, there could be internal struggle, conflict that is going in, even some external conflict that's happening. But when we're getting into the squares, and especially when I feel like how we're talking between Pisces and Gemini, this could have been with everything that is going on. Maybe you've just been feeling a lot. There's been a lot of, I'm picturing a lot of sensory overload here with Venus being in Gemini and with Pisces even. This could even be where something is keeping you delayed possibly. Maybe there's something here that is just like a relationship with, it's like we're seeing something with some clarity, because both Gemini and Pisces really see things clearly. Gemini is more kind of this immediate environment, whereas Pisces is a bit more outside of the 3D realm. But it's just like there's something here, like we're learning Gemini energy with this Venus, like we're feeling our relationship with something has changed possibly here. Something that you're seeing is like getting in the way of your expansion. And that's what I was talking about, where I felt with that Sun conjunct Mercury. It's we're seeing something and maybe we're feeling something, and it's like it's kind of making sense, but we're not ready to let that go yet. Something is like it's still holding on, and it's like, what can we do to work that out? What are some ways that you can learn new ways of new ways of working with your energies. I'm thinking with Venus being in Gemini, especially at the last degree of Gemini. And when the last degrees are points of graduation, they are critical points. And Neptune's been hanging out at 29 degrees for a minute now, and that's in the sign I'm very interested when we're going to talk about this on what's happening on Monday, but this is one where I really feel like it's going to be beneficial to really kind of dip into how certain things may be affecting you energetically, see what's going on, see how we're absorbing energies, because at about 11:21 p.m., right after Venus forms this square, she's going to move into Cancer. And now we're getting ready to move into a new energy frequency. Now we're throwing new water in the mix. I'm excited for Cancer season. I'm keeping eyes on Venus and Cancer. I had intentions last year that didn't quite go well. Well, they went about as well as they needed to. But with Venus entering Cancer, Venus is actually really, I do love Venus in Cancer. I really do. It's a very, because Cancer is the mother of the zodiac, and there's this feminine energy. Cancer's very receptive, very emotional, and so this could be where, with all this energy that's coming up, I feel Venus. And granted, this is happening kind of late, so I would even offer to make sure that we're getting some sleep over these next few days, and I mean just great sleep in general that works for your body, but just making sure that we're getting some rest and some time for some internal cleansing work here. Because Venus in Cancer is very receptive to other people's emotions, because if you're going through something, other people are going through things too, and we have to be mindful of that. Not just with what people are going through, because people are going to go through things, but how we respond to that. That's something that, my sun sign's in Cancer, and that's something that was just talking with someone about this, where they're moving into a lot of Scorpio energy in their progress chart, and it's been showing, and it's been intense, and we've had a couple conversations about it, but it's nice that we're able to have it. I actually need to check back in on that, but there's this need of, and I made sure to say this, it's just like, yes, you're feeling things, but I'm taking your stuff on too, and it's just being a lot for me, and I'm trying to figure out how to manage that so that you have the space to talk about this, and so that's been something we've had to discuss. And I feel that this Venus in Cancer is a great time to get into those types of conversations with others, because now we're feeling stuff. Be mindful of projecting onto others when you're feeling stuff with Cancer. Ask. I feel like when in doubt, ask. Like, hey, this may just be me and something's going on with me, but I'm feeling this in you. Most of the time you may be right, but there's sometimes that maybe there's just something going on, or maybe just happen to pick up something. You just kind of let that thing ride, but pay attention to the ebbs and flows. I feel like if you have any intense emotions, this can be a place to learn to nurture those emotions with Venus and Cancer. This can be a very, very healing energy, again, because Venus does very well in Cancer. Very, very well in Cancer. Now, on Monday, the 17th of, I'm not sure what that pause is about. The 17th, I think I'm still basking in that energy. The 17th of June at about 12:39, a little shortly after midnight, Mercury is going to be forming a square with Neptune. Mercury is right on Venus's heels. They're going to be forming a conjunction at the end of this, which I think is very interesting what's going to happen. But yeah, Mercury's going to be forming a square with Neptune, which I find very interesting too, because Mercury's at 29 degrees, 52 minutes of, just like Venus was in Gemini, and Neptune is still in Pisces. But the thing with this square is that this is a strong mental versus intuition type of energy here, because Mercury is dignified in Gemini at the final degree, and Neptune is dignified at the final degree being in Pisces. And so there could be some strong things, like something's not making sense. It's like we're feeling a change. I feel like with Neptune being at the last degree, like this is a chapter's getting ready to close. I'm feeling even a little sadness coming up with it. And something is getting ready to change, and maybe the mind is just trying to understand that this chapter's done, that this thing is dissolving, and that this is no longer a part of you. You're transcending a part of your something that you associated with your sense of self, who you thought you were, but that chapter's done and over with. It's again, I feel like with those two happening, this could be, I would pay attention to if you have any dreams that come. And again, the time when this is happening is going to be different for everyone, of course, but pay attention to any sort of dreams that come up, any sort of areas that you find where there are any kind of tension areas. There may be some signals there. I could see this being if you're finding conflict, I would say if you could write this stuff down, maybe get into some sort of, like, again, like, so maybe some sort of creative writing. Maybe we write some poetry. Maybe we draw something, just kind of doodle some things, put some music on. Keep yourself busy. Maybe something here, like, just as you're processing this energy, like, yeah, something here about, like, it's like it's an acceptance here. Something is we're letting go of something here, but I think it'll make more sense because later that day, or later in that hour, or later that day at about 2:07 a.m., Mercury is going to enter into Cancer. Now, I like Mercury in Cancer because I do feel this allows Mercury to, again, we're slowing down a little bit and getting into the how we're feeling. This is a time where Cancer is feeling stuff now, where we're tuned into our emotions, where this is an intuitive placement for Mercury to be. And I feel like this could be where you're understanding where your emotions are trying to fuel you, where you're this can be a time to just to get some clarity too, I feel, on what's been going on, if there's been any kind of internal struggles, and coming at that with that compassionate Cancer energy that, when you, I'm thinking of just like it may not have been your experience with your mother figure, but I'm thinking of the matriarchal, of a high vibration, of that highest vibration of Cancer that's coming through when you make a mistake, in mom is just like, let's clean you up. What did you learn? Walk me through it. There's that understanding, like, there's no judgment. Like, of course you did. This was part of your experience. And I'm not here to tell you what was right or wrong. So what do you want to do with that? I can help guide. I can advise, and do with that what you will. To where does that take you? This is just there's a lot of softness when we get into Cancer too, because outside of that hard shit, that hard exterior, there's a lot of love. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of emotions that's swimming. This is where the moon is dignified, and so, we're going to be really kind of tuned into this lunar cycle, so you really can pay attention to the fluctuation and what's no longer working for you here. And I feel like it's like with Cancer, this is cardinal water, and I feel like our feelings are taking us in a different direction here, because the last energy I want to talk about, the last transit of this week, we have at 5:42 a.m. Mercury is going to be forming that conjunction with Cancer, with Venus in Cancer at 0 degrees and 19 minutes of Cancer. And I feel with this, I feel like this can be understanding what is yours and what is other people's energies. I feel this conjunction is inviting us to look at our relationships with certain emotions, with how we deal with the fluctuation, with the ebb and flows of life. How do we nurture ourselves in that time? Do we get into a more self-deprecating place, or, and how do we change that vibration up, get into that healthier relationship? This could be too where you just notice that you're just speaking from a more nurturing place, where you can do this is a very great for just being amongst those who you hold close, to feel safe, to take things to a deeper level, to be vulnerable, to be loved, to create a safe space of understanding within yourself. But I do feel that there's something here that is, because this is a very interesting degree point that for the Sabian symbol for this conjunction, because this is phase 91 of Cancer. And the theme for this, or the thing for this, is on a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. And the keynote for this is a radical change of allegiance exteriorized in a symbolic act. And then it puts a point of no return. And I feel like with that, with that imagery of bringing the flag down and raising a new one up, I feel like this is like a course change. You are, maybe you've been telling yourself a certain narrative, a certain story for a while, and now you're ready to lay that flag down and you're ready to bring up a new point, and there's no looking back. I like that it seemed a little intense, that point of no return, but it's like I get it as that decision of like, you know what, I remember when my first Saturn return was happening, I remember that I had this realization where I was like, this party lifestyle, this drinking every day, this smoking cigarettes, this doing this stuff, this is not going to work. You got to figure it out. And that's what I got. It was just like, and I had a choice to make there. It's like, keep this lifestyle or change. And I chose the path, and it was a point. I haven't looked back. Like I've had points where it's like I've had to heal some things and deal with some stuff. Of course, that wasn't like everything just kind of fell away, and I was just like, yeah, boy, look at me, enlightened. No, it was a whole thing. It's still a whole thing, but it's an easier thing now, because you do get to a point where it's like, you know what, I can't go back to that. This is just no longer, just like how you can't necessarily go from, I'm not going to be a child anymore. That doesn't mean my inner child is gone, but I do feel like that there's a point where it's like you have to decide when, this chapter, I'm getting like I'm thinking in the tarot how we're going from the world, something's ending out, and we're starting a new chapter here, the Fool. This is something's closed out. Saturn is the world card. You've mastered something. You've graduated. You've done this thing. Now, what are you going to do with that diploma? Where do you take this thing next? How are you building on this next thing? So, very interesting energy I feel with this Mercury conjunct Venus, but it's just like, I feel like this could be where just like even like a relationship with something, you feel that it's changing, that this is like, that we may have to have that difficult conversation with a job or with a partner or with ourselves, but it's just like something's got to give. We're at a point of no return. Where do you want to go from here? Because we're on an interesting journey, and it's a wild ride, and we want to be there for it and be present for it, and be at the forefront for that. So, but that's what I got for you there, gang. So I hope that you enjoyed that. This was quite a bit of. Hopefully you enjoyed that, sir. I really did. I like that flow. I really hope that this does bring you guidance, and look at where you have points. I say for these conjunctions, see where you have like, say like 0 degrees of Cancer. Look at where, if you have a lot of water placements, cardinal placements, a lot of stuff that's going on. But see where your Gemini, Cancer, and Pisces, and a little bit of Aries are the theme this week. So look at your air placements, your mutable signs, a lot of mutable energy, some mutable and cardinal energy. So check those placements out as well. If you have placements in Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, Aries, or Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Virgo, check out those placements. If you have any points around these degrees, see if, where you have your Cancer cusp, where Venus is moving into, where Mercury's moving into. When planets move, the focus is shifting. So when they're moving into, actually they're still in my 11th house when they're entering into Cancer, but they'll be moving into my 12th house, which I'm doing some cool 12th house. I'm hoping some cool 12th house things right now, but stay tuned to that. We'll find out and grow out together. But stay mindful out there. Stay present. Raise that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one. Later.